So what does it really take to jump from a 9-figure net worth to that insane 10-figure billion-dollar level? Well, today, we're going to deconstruct the playbook of an entrepreneur who's actually documenting that exact journey right now in real time. Yeah, this isn't some textbook theory. It's a front-row seat to a modern empire in the making.
And it all starts with this one statement. I mean, think about the sheer audacity of that. It's not just a personal goal, it's a public declaration. He's basically turning his private financial quest into a public masterclass for all of us. And that mission, well, that's the heart of our explainer today.
So, how is he planning to do it? Here's the roadmap. First, we'll look at the overall billion-dollar journey. Then, we'll break down the 3 core pillars of his strategy: some really high-risk investing, an insane level of physical discipline, and of course, scaling the existing empire. And finally, we'll peek at what the next chapter might hold.
All right, let's kick things off with the big picture. You've got to understand, this isn't just about launching one company or sticking to one strategy. No, this is a super diverse, multifaceted approach to building and managing a modern business empire. I like to think of this as the entrepreneur's trifecta. Each part is absolutely critical. You've got the high-risk ventures for that potential explosive growth. Then you have the elite physical discipline to build the resilience you need to handle it all. And finally, the established brands that are just pumping out the cash flow to fund everything else. You see, they all work together, each one supporting the others.
Let's dive into that first pillar, high-risk, high-reward investing. And the perfect example of this is a massive bet he's placed on a very early-stage software company called Lura. And listen, this isn't just some small angel investment. We're talking a co-ownership stake, a very, very large check written when the company was barely off the ground. But that huge bet just got a massive stamp of approval from one of the biggest names in the entire tech world.
Now, to really get how huge this is, you need to know what Y Combinator, or YC, is. It is, without a doubt, the most prestigious startup accelerator on the planet. I mean, they call it the Harvard for startups for a reason. Their alumni, just little companies like Airbnb, Stripe, Dropbox. You may have heard of them. Getting into YC is a monumental achievement that tells investors this thing has serious potential.
So what does getting that stamp of approval actually mean in dollars and cents? Well, the projected valuation for Lura's next funding round is already between $50 and $100 million. Now that is what a high-risk tech bet looks like when it starts to pay off, and pay off big.
Okay, but why this founder in particular? What made him worth the bet? This quote right here reveals the secret sauce. The founder, Courtney, has this super rare combo of skills. He's technical enough to lead the dev team, but he also has the business chops to go out and sell the vision. He can speak both languages, and that's a trait a lot of purely technical founders just don't have.
So what in the world does Lura actually do? Okay, let's break it down. Imagine you're a coach. First, Lura sucks in all your client communication, video calls, messages, WhatsApps, all into one single thread. Simple enough, right? Then, the AI scans all of it to build a deep understanding of your client. From there, it automatically generates these custom sales boards with just the case studies and info that specific client needs to see. And here's the kicker. After you make the sale, that same board morphs into a tool to manage the client relationship. It's the whole shebang, from start to finish.
Okay, let's do a complete 180. We're pivoting from the world of software and venture capital to our second pillar, which, believe it or not, is just as crucial: elite physical discipline.
And this really brings us to a huge question, maybe the most important one. Why this obsessive focus on fitness? It's not just about looking good or being healthy. It's about forging the mental fortitude to handle the crushing pressure of running an empire. The discipline you learn from pushing your body to its absolute limit, that translates directly into managing stress, thinking clearer, and building the resilience you need to survive the chaos of business.
And this isn't some solo mission either. The challenge is company-wide. The whole team is on a mission to conquer High Rocks, which is this notoriously brutal fitness race. By doing this together, you build incredible team cohesion and create a culture of resilience and high performance that spreads through the entire organization. But they're not just winging it. The approach is super strategic. Their trainer points out the biggest mistakes people make, like focusing only on lifting heavy things and forgetting that running is almost half the race, or just going all out, high intensity all the time, instead of building a solid foundation first. The lesson here is pretty clear. You gotta train smart, not just hard.
All right, on to our third and final pillar,
scaling a business that's already established and profitable. You could say this is the engine that powers all those high-risk bets we talked about earlier. This pillar is all about what I'd call dual focus. Even while these exciting new software companies are taking off, there's an incredibly aggressive, hands-on plan to grow the established eyewear brand. They've even brought in a new CEO and set up a dedicated team in Madrid to make it happen.
And just to give you some perspective on the scale here, the revenue target for the eyewear brand this year alone is between $10 and $15 million. Yeah, this is not a side project. This is a very serious operation. But honestly, this number might be even more impressive, a target net margin of 50%. For a physical products company, that is absolutely insane. It shows an intense focus not just on growing sales, but on being wildly profitable and efficient. This, my friends, is the cash cow. And scaling means you have to get your hands dirty. The team is literally on the ground in Milan at major international trade shows, meeting with manufacturers, sourcing cool, sustainable materials, and shooting marketing content right there on the spot. This is that methodical, day-in, day-out work that it takes to grow a proven winner.
So let's pull it all together. Let's tie these three very different pillars into one cohesive playbook for this incredible 10-figure journey.
And that brings us right to the core takeaway. The path to $1 billion isn't just one straight road. It's a constant, dynamic balancing act. The super profitable eyewear brand is funding that high-risk bet on Lura. The discipline from the insane Hyrox training provides the mental stamina to manage both at the same time. You see? Each part makes the other part stronger.
And just when you think you have the formula all figured out, you get this. A direct quote that's just a massive hook for what's next. It's a promise that this journey is far from over. And in fact, it's about to get even more wild and unpredictable. Which really leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. We've just seen a masterclass in diversification. You've got tech, physical products, personal branding, the works. But is this the only way? Or could a single-minded, obsessive focus on just one thing still be the key to building a billion-dollar company? That's the real question this whole journey makes us ask ourselves.